The first one was on the sportsbook operator side with Penn and ESPN breaking up. And I don't want to say it was a shock. Like, we kind of saw the writing on the wall coming about a year ago. I think it was in February, earlier this year, basically right after the new year, when Penn announced that they had operational levers to pull based off of how the deal was going in their first year, right? They started in right before football season in 2023 is when ESPN Bet became a thing. So they had a whole full year to kind of go through the motions, and it didn't go. Football season didn't go well for them in 2023, and then in 2024, it continued to kind of tank, and now you're seeing the end result of it. Uh, I think the lesson here, and there is a lesson, right? First of all, the biggest winner was Dave Portnoy, hands down. I mean, I'm not I don't know him personally or really. I'm a huge fan of. I think I respect his work a lot, but I don't really know him that well, and I think he's a polarizing figure, but he's definitely the biggest winner in what happened between Penn and ESPN. But the lesson here is sports bettors do not care about branding; they care about betting. You can't just slap an ESPN name on a bad product with very little market share and expect it to succeed. ESPN Bet was very, very late to the party. FanDuel and DraftKings were ready from the jump when PASPA was repealed in 2018. MGM and Caesars were not far behind. Fanatics has gained ground recently because they have a very strong digital footprint. That is something ESPN does not have. And no amount of commercials with Stephen A. Smith are going to change that, especially if he's touting parlays. It was never going to move the needle. It wasn't a terrible product, but it wasn't very special. And they went into the ball game already trailing at halftime. I mean, it really was an uphill battle and, frankly, an unwinnable battle. And I think there was a lot of hubris in the decision as well, on both sides. I think with Penn, right, they tried to get into the sports gambling space with Barstool. It didn't work. You could pack it up and move on. You have all these casino and land-based operations to focus on. But no, they had to pound the pavement once again and drop another $2 billion on ESPN to try to get their name on the product, and that didn't work either. Again, fighting a losing battle, because I think overall the gambling wave is kind of receding in our country. The affiliate money is dried up, profit margins are very thin because of the intense regulatory structure and the tax rates, and I think we've kind of reached the Darwinistic stage of sports betting with this business cycle. Only the strong are going to survive, and ESPN Bet really had no chance to succeed. The final point I want to make in this breakup, this is not a referendum on sports gambling in our country. I saw a lot of people saying, oh, well, ESPN, they tried to correlate. I saw one person try to correlate it to the NBA betting scandal. Like, oh, ESPN's trying to pull back. Like, no, this was a business decision. It sounded like it was mutual on both sides. ESPN signed a deal with DraftKings like the next minute, the minute after they announced the breakup, which tells me that the DraftKings negotiation was probably in the works for months, and this was something that they expected to happen. But this is not a referendum on gambling in America. This was a business decision. Penn made a bad business decision. ESPN could not carry a sports betting business, and we will see what the landscape looks like in the next year.